to find a former pro football player whose body hasn't paid a very high price.
You have to sacrifice your body. You have to sacrifice years down the line. When we are 50, 40 years old, we probably won't be able to walk. That's the sacrifice that you take to play this game.
Arrested for domestic violence in Oceanside, California early on Monday.
Seau accused of hitting his 25-year-old girlfriend.
Junior Seau drove his SUV right off a cliff in California.
Former pro football star has apparently fallen on hard times.
Athlete.
A beloved NFL star apparently took his own life today.
What is your boyfriend's name? Junior Seau.
The final diagnosis in Seau's case was national news.
News and ESPN have learned exclusively Seau's brain showed
He had
visible signs of
CTE.
CTE.
In the NFL, the average speed of a head-to-head impact, the velocity of both heads combined, is 20 miles per hour, with the struck player's head decelerating 14 miles per hour. According to studies done by Sports Science's chief medical advisor, Dr. Basil Aish, this 15 millisecond impact is equivalent to getting smashed in the head with a sledgehammer.
The scariest topic in all of sports today could very well be concussions. Due to the severity seen in the aftermath of their effects, concussions have quickly become one of sports' biggest topics of concern. Commonly defined as a traumatic brain injury, often caused by a blow to or violent shaking of the head, concussions can temporarily or even permanently alter brain functions. Their effects include headaches and problems with concentration, memory, balance, and coordination, nausea, sleep disturbances, and intense mood swings. It has been estimated that roughly 1.6 to 3.8 million sports and recreation-related concussions occur in the United States each year. Not only this, but 6% or 135,000 emergency department visits of patients between the ages of 5 and 18 involved a concussion.
Athletes who play football are overwhelmingly more likely to get a concussion than athletes who play other sports. As one of our nation's most popular pastimes, football has become extremely problematic as we learn more about the long-term effects concussions can have.
According to a recent 2013 study, signs of concussions were found to last longer than what was previously expected. Researchers found that the brains of those suffering concussions showed abnormalities 4 months later, despite their symptoms having receded to some degree. Due to this longevity and increased uncertainty on when their effects truly diminish, discomfort has increased surrounding the subject of concussions.
The nature of football is incredibly aggressive. This is no secret. Bodily harm comes with playing football and it's unavoidable. Although this is true, the NFL is still responsible for protecting its football players as best as the NFL can. So what can the NFL do? What has the NFL done?
Where are we with respect to concussions today?
Well, we've made significant changes to the game at the NFL level, which I think have impacted all levels of the game. We've had a 25% reduction in concussions just last season. That continues a 3-year trend, which is about 35%. And I think a lot of that is because there's more awareness. There are better processes in place with our medical personnel to identify the injury. But we are preventing these injuries through rule changes, through equipment.
According to an ESPN article, there were 111 concussions in games during the 2014 regular season, down from 148 in 2013 and 173 in 2012, a 36% drop over the 3-year span.
However, not all of Goodell's tactics have worked. New equipment, for example, has had little influence on enhancing the safety of the players.
And even improved helmet technology is only able to reduce an 80G impact to 40 Gs, still several times when an F-16 pilot experiences, and more than enough to cause a concussion or neck fracture.
I think it's criminal by the league to take that man's money for that hit. and it's absolutely the ultimate in hypocrisy.
The increased rules that have been created to protect players from head injuries have been met with some criticism. After Ndamukong Suh was heavily fined for hitting a defensive quarterback, former Denver Bronco offensive lineman Mark Schlereth defended the defensive tackle by calling out the league on their own hypocrisy.
And I'll tell you this. We keep hearing this. I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. I keep hearing this safety first, guys. That's what we're concerned with as a league. When you settle a lawsuit, a concussion lawsuit for $765 million, and part of the settlement is you don't have to admit any guilt and you don't have to turn over the 10, 20, 15 years of research that you've gone through that would actually help in regards to educating people about head trauma, and that's part of the settlement, then safety is not your first concern. Money is your first concern. And that is absolute garbage that you would find him. They said, well, his head, the crown of his helmet. Are we supposed to run around like this and playing football? We're not turtles. Your heads stick out over your shoulders. I'm sorry. That's just a football play. And it's a bunch of old men that haven't played or forgot what it was like to play or want to toe the company line and protect the owners. And I'll go in on my Players Association, who I love. I love those guys. You continue to let players get fined for playing football, and you're no longer going to have my support.
The NFL Players Association is probably more deserving of the credit for reducing the number of concussions than the league. Players Association has continually funded new research, helped organize lawsuits, and educated their players about the dangers of concussions.
On their website, the NFL Players Association does have a 5-page document called NFL Head, Neck, and Spine Committee's Protocols Regarding Diagnosis and Management of Concussion. The plan's protocols call for preseason, practice, and game day concussion management, including physical exams and neurological testing during the preseason, and creating an emergency medical action plan before play.
However, the biggest test that concussion safety in the NFL is improving isn't the prevention of head injuries, rather the protocol that's in place once head injuries are inflicted. Data gathered by PBS Frontline shows that despite the decrease in concussions, there is still a large difference between acknowledged concussions placed on the injury report and the total concussion account. Frontline also found that a vast majority of players only miss one or fewer games due to a concussion. Players more likely to miss more time due to an ingrown toenail than trauma to this body's most vital organ.
Although there is a decline in the number of concussions among professional football players, we can't overlook the way concussions are portrayed in the media.
The way the NFL handled this was for 15 years to do research that looks awfully like it was designed to say that the league was okay in doing what it was doing, which wasn't much, to protect players from the dangers of concussions. The closer you look, the less this holds up, but it did establish this kind of impressive-looking set of findings, which pushed off the day of reckoning for the league. That's really what is happening here, right? During this whole run of research that's being published, the day of reckoning, where the league has to answer to somebody about what it's doing about concussions, just keeps getting pushed off and pushed off and pushed off.
In 2012, former 12-time Pro Bowl linebacker Junior Seau took his own life. Seau had exhibited almost all the classic signs of CTE in his last few years. The tragedy of Junior Seau was the straw that broke the camel's back, and the danger of concussions had finally become a national issue.
We didn't know why he was detached or forgetting, or why he would bark at us for nothing, or we didn't know.
The past 2 years have been the roughest. And for a couple months at a time, I wouldn't hear from him at all, and that would scare me.
We got really close, and I feel like it's turning around. Okay, he wants to be part of my life, and then all of a sudden, I wouldn't hear from him.
And he is truly a legend, and he will be with us forever.
This year, concussion safety will reach the highest form of awareness in the media, an overly dramatized Hollywood biopic.
I am the wrong person to have discovered this.
If you don't speak for them, who will?
I found a disease that no one has ever seen. Repetitive head trauma chokes the brain.
The NFL does not want to talk to you. You turned on the lights and gave their biggest boogeyman a name.
You're going to war with a corporation that owns a day of the week.
No proof was presented today because there simply isn't any.
They have to listen to us. This is bigger than they are.
The film, Concussions, stars Will Smith and follows the struggle of Dr. Bennett Omalu as he fights the NFL over the legitimacy of his research on CTE.
Continue to deny my work. Men continue to die. Sometimes in life, you're asked to leave it alone. But sometimes you can't.
Who are you? Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
The film is highly anticipated, though to what degree the film will criticize the NFL's policies and actions remains to be seen. That the film cut a specific scene at the request of the NFL may be an indication of the film's true nature.